This is the Dan Patrick Show, bringing on Joe Person, the co-writer with Diana Rossini of the Hunger Games article that went in depth of the Panthers' dysfunction. Let's hear it. Let's jump into it. My name is Nick. This is Roll Coverage.
Hey, I thought it was all over.
Okay, here is Mr. Dan Patrick talking to Joe Person, the, again, co-writer of that Hunger Games article. If you don't follow Dan Patrick, I don't know what you're doing with your life. He's one of those must-follows along with the GOAT, Rich Eisen. So shout out to them. Let's jump into it. This is a very short video, only 3 minutes.
Sum up your article about the dysfunction of the Carolina Panthers, Joe.
So, Dan, really at root of this, was on the offensive side of the building. And David Tepper, if you remember, they had Matt Rule. One of the criticisms of Matt Rule was that he had a staff full of kind of his guys he'd worked with on the college side. And so when Tepper hires Frank Reich last January, they made a big deal about diversity of thought and not just kind of hiring people in Frank's circle. And so they did that. David Tepper spent a lot of money.
That was the downfall. The defensive side of the ball, people had worked with Evero. The defensive side of the ball is the most cohesive because those coaches are working together. In the article, I hope he touches on it. GM Scott Fitterer and an offensive coach, which again, in my mind, was a way to throw it off, the scent off the trail. I believe it was Chris Tabor that went behind Reich's back, essentially tried to push him out of there. If it wasn't him, it could be the other holdover. I believe it was the line coach that Tepper specifically decided to keep. He kept Tabor and, that line coach. I'm pretty sure it was a line coach. His name is, drawing a blank right now. But I think that was massively part of the problem. Essentially, it was the Hunger Games behind the scenes, people backstabbing and doing all this other stuff. So from the top down, it was bad, and it was bad because the person at the top meddled in it.
They went out and got Thomas Brown from the Rams to be the offensive coordinator. They got Deuce Staley. They got Josh McCown, who, as you know, had interviewed for the Texans head coaching job previously. Problem is, some of these guys had never worked together and had never worked with Frank. And I think when things started getting bad, when they weren't winning, and when Bryce Young's development was seemingly stagnating a bit, and the offense was bad, then I think there weren't those built-in loyalties, and there were some factions that formed on the offensive side in the offensive staff room. And, we saw a little bit of that publicly when Frank Reich took back over, reclaimed the play calling duties from Thomas Brown, the OC.
In my opinion, was his basically pink slip to get out of there. The minute he removed it the second time and took it back, I thought Reich was done. I thought that was a boneheaded move, but of course I understand he wanted his hands on the wheel as the, or his hands on the ship basically as it went down.
And but come to find out, there was quite a bit behind the scenes going on too.
How involved is David Tepper with actually game plan, play calling? I mean, are we that deep into the system here as the owner?
Before he even answers, my opinion is that David Tepper is A, too involved, B, doesn't know that much about football. He came from the Steelers ownership group, so he thinks he knows a lot, but that's not really people that make the decisions on the field. He wants a 20, 30-year head coach that says something in his eulogy, is what he said. And I don't think that he's ever going to find that. He's not a person that you want to build long-term with. He's a hedge fund guy. It's not working right now. Screw it. It's just money. I'll make more. That's why he got rid of Reich, because he didn't want to take responsibility for it. He just wanted a scapegoat, which is what he got.
No, I'm glad you asked that. I mean, he's very hands-on owner. Obviously, he and his wife Nicole went on all the pro day visits or the quarterback pro days when they were clearly going to take either Bryce or CJ or Anthony Richardson. They were there. They're hands-on to that level. But what he's not in there watching film.
Okay.
I think after Scott Fitterer, the GM, and talked to Frank Reich about that. They felt, some in the building felt, that Bryce was not getting deep enough in his pass sets, and that was the problem.
Which is the dumbest thing ever, because it's non-football people telling you about football. Listen, I'm not a deep X's and O's guys. I'm still learning. A lot of people are going to continue to learn for the rest of their lives about this game. But overall, yeah, this was a failure from the ownership down, period. It lays on the ownership's shoulders.
The root of a lot of the protection issues, he just wasn't quite deep enough. So after Fitter had talked to Reich about that, I don't know if they felt it still wasn't getting fixed. But then there was a group that did go talk to Tepper and got him involved at that level. But no, it's not like Tepper's watching film and calling, Frank Reich and others with play tips. But certainly a very involved owner, and some would say too involved in some cases.
I would agree with that. This is the end of that video that Dan Patrick happened to post. Joe Person, thank you for putting out that Hunger Games article. I think we need more transparency in the Carolina organization. It's one of the things that I normally hate that organizations do, and that's, hide their dysfunction. But the Carolina Panthers can't even do that. They can't do the most basic things. We can't drive the ball. We're making, throws down the field on 3rd and 2, 4th and 1. So overall, this is just a massive failure of a season. It's a massive failure due to Scott Fitterer, but an even more massive failure due to the owner, David Tepper. You, sir, man, whatever, get 100% of the blame on this. This is your failure. This is your fault, period. But just in case you want more breakdowns on the regular, my name is Nick. This has been Roll Coverage. Make sure you follow us on the socials below. And you have a great rest of the day. Peace.